Tonight in the City of Dreams, some dreams came true in the WNBA draft.
For the women selected and for the league itself, the 28th WNBA season this coming summer will be its most anticipated ever, thanks to one person in particular.
So, the biggest day ever for the WNBA finally arrived. The spotlight was on Caitlin Clark like never before, shining a light on women's team sports and the incredible potential she brings. But you know, it's not just about Caitlin. Since she entered the WNBA, the spotlight has been on all the amazing players who came before her. And it's kind of weird because some of them seem to be having trouble dealing with her fame, even though they'll benefit from it a lot.
Davis, time winding down. Are they going to get the ball up in time? Clark for the win! Yeah!
Caitlin was leading Iowa to the NCAA Finals again, and this time, even though they lost to South Carolina, the TV ratings were huge. They actually beat the men's ratings for the first time ever. And guess what? Even some of the biggest names in women's basketball were talking about her. Breanna Stewart, a four-time NCAA champ and Olympic gold medalist, was asked about Caitlin on SiriusXM radio before the Final Four games even started.
Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered?
What a good question by the reporter, right? I mean, she didn't ask if Caitlin needed a championship to be the GOAT. Instead, all she asked was if Caitlin needed a championship to be one of the greats. And you know, there can be a lot of greats in basketball, but Caitlin has scored the most points in NCAA history, male or female. So you'd think Stewart would say she could be one of the greats, right? But she didn't.
Yeah. Yes. I think so. Because then you're gonna look 10 years back and you're gonna see all the records she's broke.
Stewart's answer caused a bit of a stir. It was really weird, like she didn't want to admit that Caitlin, who's way younger than her, is changing how people see women's basketball. Instead, Stewart focused on her own team at UConn, which had a lot of future WNBA players. Caitlin's team, on the other hand, didn't have any other future WNBA players, and yet she still took Iowa to 2 straight NCAA finals.
Clark was trying to redirect a pass. Clark, oh my, from Schenectady. Clark wheels around, evades Van Lith.
Another former UConn star, Diana Taurasi, who's way older than Caitlin, also joined in on the negative comments. She was on ESPN with Sue Bird, and they were asked who they would pick first in the WNBA draft, Caitlin Clark or Paige Bueckers from UConn. I'm pretty sure you already know who Diana chose by now.
DMC, you have to go to the WNBA team. Who are you taking first? Paige or Caitlin? I think you have to take Caitlin for one reason. Because I think they're so... You can't go wrong with choosing either one.
Paige Bueckers wasn't even going to be in the draft. I mean, do you have to be that obvious with the hate? And that's not all. Diana Taurasi had another moment on ESPN after Iowa beat UConn in the semifinals. She was asked about rookies like Caitlin and Camila Cardoso coming into the league. And she basically said, "Hey ladies, you're definitely going to have a tough time."
Reality is coming.
Okay.
You know, there's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side.
Now, people who claim that they know Diana Taurasi say that's just who she is. Tough, brash, and always a force to be reckoned with. But here's the problem. Caitlin Clark is bringing in a whole new crowd of fans to women's basketball. These new fans might not know much about Taurasi, but they're definitely getting to know her now. That's probably why Caitlin didn't include her in her Mount Rushmore of the WNBA during a shootout after the draft.
Thanks to all the great players like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, the great Dawn Staley, and my basketball hero, Maya Moore.
Some fans noticed that Caitlyn left Taurasi off the list and went on social media to laugh about it. They thought it was a well-deserved diss. You see, Caitlyn has always praised the women who came before her. She's thankful for them being role models. So what we have here is just plain old player jealousy. And the fact that Taurasi has stirred up so much controversy shows that women's basketball is finally getting the attention it deserves.
I got distracted. And guess what? It wasn't about politics. It wasn't about the NFL. It wasn't even by the NBA, okay? I got distracted by women's NBA basketball, as in the WNBA, because that girl.
But the spotlight on Caitlyn isn't just about basketball. It goes much deeper. I mean, she hasn't been in the WNBA for long, but she's already at the center of some big conversations about race, politics, and other important stuff. Before a game, someone asked her about people using her name to spread hate and disrespect, and she was totally ready to talk about it. She said everyone deserves respect, and people shouldn't use her name to push those bad agendas. She said it's not okay, and that we should all treat each other with kindness. Caitlyn has always been a voice for the players around her, even back in college. She's trying to make the league a better place, even though there's a lot of noise outside.
We might need to update the graphic now. Curricular, as Clark's knocked down a couple of deep triples.
And speaking of noise, Caitlyn is making some serious noise on the court too. Recently, she made history with the Indiana Fever by recording the highest number of assists ever by a WNBA rookie, which is pretty incredible. But there was a little drama during the game. Caitlyn got a technical foul after she hit the basketball hoop in frustration. Some people thought it was a bit harsh, but the ref said it was disrespectful to the game. Caitlyn said she got fired up after the tech and played harder. She's already got 5 techs this season, and if she gets 2 more, she'll be suspended for a game. She's also been fined a bunch of money because of these techs, and to be honest, this just shows how the WNBA just keeps coming at her, but the tension doesn't stop there. As Caitlyn continues to dominate, it's clear she's on a collision course with some of the league's top players. The Gilbert Arena has already guessed what will happen when these current stars play against Caitlyn. They're probably expecting some fireworks.
Diana Taurasi and all of them.
That shit was funny.
So soon as that game starts, sit your old ass down.
Yeah.
2 fouls. Sit down. And then newspaper. Caitlyn Clark, bodies, DT. It's a new era. Because I don't need you anymore.
Gilbert Arena says he respects the older players trying to protect their legacy, but he thinks they've already lost that battle. When Taurasi said reality is coming, she was right. There are levels to this game, and everyone goes through that. Arena thinks Taurasi needs to adjust her reality because the league doesn't need to promote the older players anymore.
Listen, you held it down for 20 years. Congratulations.
Caitlyn is like a shot of espresso for the WNBA. She's taking the league to new heights, and people are finally paying attention to women's basketball. Cheryl Swoops, a legend, made a controversial comment about Caitlyn that went viral. It's not a good look for her. If you watch the whole video, it's clear that Swoops doesn't like Caitlyn, even though she admits that Caitlyn can shoot. They mostly talked about whether Caitlyn's game would work in the WNBA.
So will Caitlyn Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlyn Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not.
When we talk about wanting women's sports to be equal in America, we usually focus on things like money and attention. But the real deal is how it changes our culture. Women's sport really arrives in America when we start talking about it and being critical. Just like we do with men's sports, anything less would be disrespectful. Swoops knows that Caitlyn and Reese joining the WNBA will help bring in new fans, but it's understandable why some older players might be upset about how things are going now. They didn't have the same opportunities or attention. Women's basketball has been through a lot, but now it's finally made it. What are your thoughts on the idea that it's Caitlyn Clark versus the WNBA? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more insider buzz.